to the day, counting it on the way. All of my blessings knocking on the door today. Toys and it's all the same, dreaming reality.
Thank you for dropping in for your dose of crazy happiness and a quick hit of positivity. Welcome to episode 111. I'm your host, Tanya Vetter of TanyaVetter.com. Today's episode is being brought to you by Women Empowerment Training Institute, empowering women and youth through engagement and exposure. Check out all of the great work that they are doing in the community and abroad, and help those who are in need. Help them provide scholarship for those who are graduating high school and headed to college. Check them out and become a donator and become a supporter by donating at theweedy.org. Well, hello guys. Welcome to episode 111. I am absolutely ecstatic about today's episode. Today's episode and topic is one that I rarely ever discuss, and it is relationships. Yep. I heard a conversation over the weekend. Well, I'll take that back. I overheard a conversation sometime earlier in the week, and it got me thinking about relationships. And so today's episode is a little longer than usual, but hey, we only meet here once a week. So today's topic is the person you should be marrying. And it features Tracy McMillan, not Terry McMillan, Tracy McMillan, who's a writer and an author. And she wrote the book, Why You Aren't Married Yet. And I love this honest, candid speech that she's given on TED Talks. So if you want to check it out, you can also go to TED Talks and check it out. But sometimes we think that the person that's gotten it right is the best expert, right? Well, in this case, I want you to consider that possibly the person who has not gotten it right could be the expert on relationships. And she's going to share with us part of her story and why now she's considered to be this expert in this sensitive topic, but so prevalent topic of relationships. And a couple of things that I just want to pull out of this speech, or this topic, this juicy subject today, is that, you know what? Nothing external, including people, will ever bring us happiness. And I had to learn that, right? Nothing external, including people, will ever bring us internal happiness. So I'm going to say that again. Nothing external, including people, will bring you internal happiness, right? And the second thing is that we may temporarily, now I want you guys to really listen to this. When we're looking for that ideal partner, or you're really interested, for those of you who are looking to be in relationships, you're really looking for that significant and beautiful someone or whatever, you may temporarily attract someone who, what I say, vibrates or radiates at a different level. When you say someone who's on a different scale than you are, you think that they have that something that you're looking for, right? I use the word vibrate because I think we all radiate at a different level. We all radiate a significant energy, right? So you find that guy or that girl, and there's something interesting about them, right? We all pick up that different something about that person, right? And they may vibrate at a greater scale, right? And they've gotten their stuff together. That's what we say, right? But here's the thing. If we are not willing to become an equal match to that, then we won't keep that person long, because we're not willing to become an equal partner. So we may be able to attract a person who has all of those high qualities that we're looking for, but we will not keep them because we're not willing to, number one, become that. And number two, as time goes by, the fact that we don't believe that we are worth being with a person like that is what will demolish the relationship. And I'm going to say that again because that's huge. And somebody probably needs to get that, because you may be like, why is it that I meet these great guys, or why is it that I meet these great girls and it starts out really good and then it goes down the drain? Well, here's the thing. My question would be to you, what is it that you're believing about yourself, right? Because usually when we meet someone, we really feel good about ourselves because we've met that person. But then as time seems to pass by, that's when we usually start to question our self-worth. So if you don't believe that you're worth it, right? If you haven't worked on yourself, then usually that relationship will not last because you have not become that person before you met that person. They may have caught you on an awesome day when they met you, but if you're not that person already, then you won't keep that person. Hope that makes sense. Okay. All right. The last thing is wholeness is required for a healthy relationship. Like 100%, you can't, like 3/4 is not going to work. Like 100%. I didn't say perfection is required, but there's a sense of wholeness that comes 100% of the time. And you may say, okay, what does that look like? So what that looks like is this: I'm already enough. With or without this person, I am enough, right? It looks like this: I'm okay if this person is here, and I'm okay if this person decides to leave. And that's a tough one. That's a tough one, but that's wholeness. So let's see what Tracy has to say about the person you should be marrying, the person that we should be marrying. Let's take a listen.
So when I was growing up, there was this song we used to sing on the playground, and it went like this. Tracy and so sitting in a tree, Kissing. First comes love, then comes marriage, then comes baby in a baby carriage. And I'm like, okay, that's it. That's how you do life. That's how you do a relationship. Love, marriage, baby carriage. Okay, got it. And then I grew up, and this is what my life turned out to be. Slightly more complicated, right? Love, marriage, divorce, dry spells. Love, marriage, co-parenting, another marriage, another divorce. You get the picture. So if you're good at math and or a fast reader, what you got there is that I've been married 3 times. Yep, 3. And divorced. And what that's supposed to mean is that I am a total failure at relationships. And that is one way to look at it, but not the only way. Because what I think really happened is that I kept marrying the wrong person. Now, it's not that I didn't, it's not that I chose bad guys. My first 2 husbands were amazing men who are now married to wonderful women who aren't me. And my 3rd husband, well, we're friends on Facebook now. So all's well that ends well, right? After the collapse of my 3rd marriage in 2005, I realized that I had been marrying everyone in sight except the one person that I really needed to marry in order to have a great relationship. And that once I married that person, all of my relationships would be successes, even the failures, the so-called failures, actually. So since we're talking today about women inventing, I want to talk about inventing relationship. And what I've found through a lot of trial and obviously many, many, many errors to be the thing that has transformed my life in love. And that is this idea of marrying yourself. So what does it mean to marry yourself? It's a big idea. It's as big as marriage itself, except if I could just summarize it, it would be that you enter into a relationship with yourself and then you put a ring on it. In other words, you commit to yourself fully. And then you build a relationship with yourself to the point where you realize that you're whole right now. That there's no man, woman, job, circumstance that can happen to you that's going to make you more whole, because you already are. And this changes your life. So by now, I'm sure at least some of you are wondering why you should be listening to a 3-time divorcee talk about marriage, even to herself. And I understand that. And here's what I have to say about that. is that what I've learned and my experience is that the places where you have the biggest challenges in your life become the places where you have the most to give if you do your inner work. I kind of want to say that again. The places where you have your biggest challenges are the places where you have the most to give. So let me tell you a little bit about the person I truly needed to marry, myself. I'm from Minneapolis. Woo! My mom was a prostitute and an alcoholic. She put me in foster care when I was 3 months old. My dad was a criminal. He was a drug dealer and a pimp with a heart of gold. Actually, they both had hearts of gold. And he spent more or less my whole life in prison. And he just got out of prison after his most recent sentence, which was 20 years. And I spent, until the age of 9, I was in probably 24 foster homes. And the thing you need to know about this story, because there's like a lot of details, obviously, but the thing you need to know is that I came out of that childhood with one goal: to never be left. And the way I was going to do that is that I was going to get married. That was the way I was going to accomplish that goal. So I got married the first time to a guy I met when I was 17. We got married a couple years later. When I was 19, he was a really good guy from a great family. He had an MBA. I mean, it was like, it was like marriage material. And, I was thrilled. I was like, I have a family. I belong somewhere. This is wonderful. And then after 5 years, I left him. And then 10 years later, I got married again to another wonderful guy who's the father of my now 16-year-old son. We still have a wonderful relationship. He's a really good guy. But after 4 years, I left him too. And I'm not proud to say that I did that, but in order to really marry yourself, you have to get sometimes very painfully honest with yourself about what it is that you've done. So I'm not proud of that. And then 8 years later, I got married again when I was 40. And I was like, okay, this feels right. Okay? Let me tell you what felt right to a girl who was in 24 foster homes. A guy who started to date after 9 months of marriage. Essentially, he started dating a 21-year-old girl. Which you're like, okay. I mean, it would be funny if it weren't so tragic. You have to have a sense of, that's why, we're Facebook friends. So here I am looking at this person that I just described with the terrible track record of relationships. And I'm like, I'm supposed to marry her? Like, this is the woman you want me to marry? And the answer is yes. Because here's the deal. The thing about marrying yourself is that it's not just like cohabitating. You're not just going to date for a while and see how it turns out. You are going to do this till death do you part. You're going to take vows. So here are the vows. Number 1, you're going to marry yourself for richer or for poorer. This means you're going to love yourself right where you are. You don't say to yourself, when you get to the corner of Hollywood and Vine, then I'll marry you. You don't say, when you lose 10 pounds, then I'll love you. And you don't say, if you hadn't married that loser, I would love you, but since you did, I'm sorry, I think it's over. When you marry yourself, you walk yourself down that aisle exactly where you are. And paradoxically, I've found that loving myself exactly where I am is the only way to get where I'm going. Number 2, you're going to marry yourself for better or for worse. So what this means, it's like most of us are willing to love ourselves for better. I mean, sure, like, I'm having a great hair day today. I love me. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about for worse, like the big life disappointments. Maybe you don't own a home. You didn't get the career you wanted. Maybe you didn't graduate from college. Maybe you didn't get the relationship you wanted. Maybe it hasn't turned out. Maybe you fight with your mom. Maybe you watch too much reality TV. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter anymore, right? Because when you marry yourself, you agree to stay with you no matter what. So third, you marry yourself in sickness and in health. So what this means is that you forgive yourself for your mistakes. A mistake isn't actually a failure unless you don't learn from it and unless you don't grow. There's a saying, you ask for patience, and what you get is a line at the bank. And what that means is that life does not give you what you asked for. It gives you the people, places, and situations that allow you to develop what you asked for. And you know, the thing is that if you don't get it right the first time, life will give it to you again. Because life is very generous that way. It's like, I didn't get it the first time in the first marriage, and I didn't get it the second time. You know, it's like, okay, maybe the third time I'll get it. So inside that terrible experience of that third marriage, I learned something about in sickness and in health. And what I learned is how to sit by my own bedside and how to hold my own hand and how to nurse myself and how to comfort myself. And what I learned is that I am a person that I can count on. Last but not least, you marry yourself. When you marry yourself, it's to have and to hold yourself. So what does it mean to have and to hold? Well, I think it means that you love yourself the way you want someone else to love you. I had always been going through life like with this sense of lack. I felt like I was kind of half a person and that I was missing something. And I went into my relationships hoping to solve this feeling that I'd had my entire life, that I wasn't whole unless someone loved me. And the truth is that I wasn't ever going to feel whole until I learned to love myself. So this business of marrying yourself transforms every area of your life, your business, family relationships, kids, social relationships, friends. Because when you marry yourself, this huge thing happens. You become able to love in this whole new way. You become able to love other people right where they are for who they are, the same way you're already loving yourself. And of course, this is what the world needs more of. So when I married myself and I realized that I already had everything I needed, I started seeing it as my job to basically just light up my little corner of the world. You know, that's my new job. Because I don't need anything, I already have it. So when I take meetings, it's all about like, how can I help this person achieve her goal? And when I'm in my social communities, it's like, what can I bring to this that only I can bring? And when I go on dates, it's like, how can I just discover another person, maybe for just 1 hour? Which, of course, brings me full circle. Because people always ask me about my love life, you know? They want to know. And, you know, the answer is I'm still working on it, aren't we all, you know? So this is where I am right now. About 3 months ago, I went on a first date. And about 30 minutes into the date, I found myself paying attention not to whether he liked me, but how I felt in his presence. I noticed that I was like light and happy and joking. And as I reflected on the date afterward, I was like, wow, I got really excited. I'm like, look, this is how committed I am to myself. I'm not even on this date trying to like get someone to like me. You know, I'm more interested in how I feel about me than how he feels about me. Not because I'm selfish, but because the only relationship I'm ever going to have with another person is the one that I'm already having with myself. I'm just going to have it with them now. So it turned out he liked me, you know, and we're still together, and it's cool and amazing, you know, but like I've been married 3 times, so slow down. You know, the thing is, I'm not trying to get security from him through marriage. And God forbid, a baby carriage. I'm only here to just be in relationship. I'm not dying to hear the words, will you marry me? Because even though those words are very powerful, and very powerful to a person like me, I don't need to hear them from him because I've already heard them from myself. And the way I see it, it's like I took myself to the top of a mountain, or maybe to the bottom of the ocean, and I got down on one knee, and I said, I'll never leave you. And now I'm married to the one person I really wanted to be with all along, myself. Yeah.
Well, there you have it, guys. I hope you have enjoyed today's episode. Hey, if you know any single friends, hey, tell them to check out today's episode, share it with them, forward it to them, tag them on it. And yeah, share it with them. Her book, from my understanding, I have not read her book. I do believe that it's important people understand the power of self-love. I do believe that the information she gives on making commitments and vows to ourselves, the importance of it is just, I think it's great, big, huge. As Dr. Carol Mays would say, great, big, huge. I think that's a message that is rare, it's lost, and it's hidden. If you know someone who will benefit from today's message, share it with them. You guys know what I say. Check me out at TanyaVetter.com. This would be a great complimentary episode to go with one of the journals at TanyaVetter.com. Check it out. Check me out at TanyaVetter.com. You guys know what I say. Be light, be love, be you. See you next time.